there is this widespread belief that fulfillment and satisfaction exists at some point in the future when X happens, whether it's the World Cup, whether it's the job, whether it's the relationship or whatever. And he and plenty of others have said that they understand through experience, so they were lucky to have that experience, that is not true. So yeah, what can you say about this? What can you say about
you've put your finger on the essential thing, that the belief that satisfaction, peace, happiness is something that we will find in the future when X happens, whatever X is for each of us, the next job, the next relationship, that happiness is caused by and dependent on external factors, something that we can seek and acquire. Now, why do we think this? It's because when we do get a particular object or a substance or relationship, we do feel happy. And therefore we put two and two together. We realize, I got this relationship, it made me happy, therefore the relationship was the cause of the happiness. I got the new job and I was immediately happy. So the new job obviously caused the happiness. I won the World Cup and I was happy. So winning the World Cup was obviously the cause of my happiness. This is a misunderstanding. Acquiring the relationship, the job, winning the game, whatever it is, put an end to our previous sense of dissatisfaction. It put an end to our search. And when the search came to an end, our innate happiness was revealed. Who was it that spoke of seeking effortlessness? You quoted...
Oh, the wonderful Goldie Sayers.
Goldie Sayers, that's right. Goldie Sayers, this wonderful phrase, seeking effortlessness. It's, of course, and I understand it, of course she understands this, you understand this, but seeking effortlessness is a contradiction of terms, because seeking is, by definition, an effort. It is not possible to seek effortlessness, because effortlessness is what is present before the seeking begins. To think that one can acquire effortlessness as a result of seeking is absurd. What is it that winning the World Cup, getting the relationship, getting the job does? It puts an end to the activity of seeking, revealing the effortlessness that was already there, but obscured by the activity of seeking. Now, the sane person goes inwards towards or into their innate effortlessness prior to seeking. They access this effortlessness in themselves prior to the activity of seeking. They do not allow it to depend upon the activity of seeking. If we think that effortlessness or satisfaction or happiness depends upon the activity of seeking, we will think that it depends upon the object, the substance, the activity, the relationship, etc. And it's true that as long as that object, substance, activity, relationship lasts, we will feel happiness. But all objects, substances, activity, they all come to an end. If our happiness is dependent upon them, the happiness will come to an end. And we don't want just temporary, fleeting moments or periods of happiness. Everybody wants lasting happiness. And in order to find lasting happiness, we need to look for it in the one thing that lasts in our experience, namely our own being.
Right, I've got a good example for you, Rupert, here. Before we dive into finding that lasting happiness, here's a good example, right? So my beloved other half and I like to watch something amusing last thing at night, just because we sort of finish the day with a bit of a chuckle. And we were watching a stand-up comic, a one-liner comic, right? And so it's just one-liner after one-liner. Set up, knock down, set up, knock down, set up, knock down, you know? And I was thinking, is the same thing happening there? Because we're sort of building up and then immediately it's let go. Building up, let go.
Exactly. That's why we love comedy and a good comic, not the type you were watching last night, the one-liners, but take a good storyteller. A good storyteller knows how to eke out a story. You think he or she is going to get to the end, and then, oh, no, there's another twist. And what are they doing? They are ramping up the tension. They're ramping up the suspense. You think it's going to end? Or same with music. Same with music. You think the music is going to resolve? No, it goes off into a different key in another direction, and the tension is increasing. The tension, and then same with a poem. A poem takes you on a journey. Where are we going? You build this sense of I'm going somewhere, and then the last line is very often the line that brings the state of heightened tension to an end. The punchline of the joke. The tension is released, and there's that moment of joy. But so while the comedian is telling the joke, our mind is in a state of activity, anticipation. We're following the storyline, yeah. And then when we burst out laughing, that's another activity of this case, an activity of the body. But in between these two, the telling of the joke and the laughter, something happens. And what that something is takes place in between two activities of the mind. It's called understanding. In that gap between the joke and the laughter, that the mind comes briefly to an end, or rather it is divested of its limitations, and it tastes its essence, which is joy. Or it can also be said to be called understanding. And it is a result of that joy or understanding that the laughter begins. So we place ourselves in the hands of a comedian in order to have our essential nature of joy revealed to us. The comedian doesn't give us anything. The comedian gives us access to our own innate joy, as does a poet, a musician, a sports player.
Yeah. Which is why these things are all so important. And I'm going to sound like I'm trying to be down with the kids now, but it's taken me back to my clubbing days when the DJ would build up, and then to use the. I really am sounding like I'm an old fuddy-duddy trying to be down with the 20s, but he dropped the beat and everyone's like, and then the whole crowd sort of goes ballistic because there's that tension's just been ramping up. Oh, he's going to do it now. He's going to do it now, and then it goes. So same thing. Right, here, Rupert. Let's then talk about how one cultivate's probably not the right word, but move in the direction of. You spoke about happiness or peace that doesn't continually come and go. The grasping and the pushing away. I want to hang on to this pleasurable activity, or I don't want to experience this unpleasurable activity. So how does one become settled or go about developing a root or a grounding in awareness? Which sounds a bit bizarre because we've just been talking about how it's who we are. But so how did you find it, and how would you advocate anyone listening start this process of becoming more grounded in what we're talking about?
The first time one of the first spontaneous experiences I had was listening to a concert, a recital. It was a piano recital, and I noticed my attention was totally absorbed in the music. And at some stage during the concert, there was a spontaneous and natural relaxation of the focus of my attention. So my attention, having been directed towards the music, absorbed in the music, it relaxed. And it was like it just relaxed back into myself. And I became aware, not only of the music, but I became aware that I was aware. Previously, my awareness had been so lost in the music that I had overlooked the fact of being aware. And now there was a spontaneous relaxation of my attention, and my attention came back to the fact of being aware. And so that was the very first time I noticed it. I then realized later that one could cultivate this relaxation of the attention, this returning of the attention to its source, or the fact of being aware, by simply letting go of the content of experience. The first time it happened to me, it was just spontaneous. It happened, and I was surprised. I thought, I was absorbed in the music, and now I notice that I'm aware of the music. So you can cultivate that. Instead of being lost in my feelings, my activities, my thoughts, my relationships, I'm aware of them. I'm, so to speak, watching them a bit like I'd watch a movie, except the screen on which they are taking place is not the glass screen of the TV at 2 or 3 meters away. It is the screen of my own awareness. You soften the focus of your attention from the content of experience and come back to the simple fact of being aware. I am aware of these. They are not what I am. They are objects of my experience, subtle objects, thoughts, images, feelings, memories, sensations. But they are not what I essentially am. They appear to me. They exist for a while, and then they vanish. So it's this stepping back. And it's not a rejection of experience. It's not a judgment of experience. It's not an attempt to change experience or get rid of any particular experience or acquire any particular experience. It has nothing to do with the content of experience. It has everything to do with the context of experience, the context within which experience is happening, namely awareness. So it's this, I would recommend just letting go of the content of experience. We all do it spontaneously every night when we fall asleep. When we fall asleep, our thoughts leave us, our relationships, our activities, our sensations, our perceptions, and we're left all alone in the peace of deep sleep. That's why we look forward to sleep at night. We don't dread deep sleep. Everybody loves deep sleep because it's peaceful there. Why? Because everything has left us. All the disturbing thoughts and feelings and activities, relations, they've all left us. They left us in peace. Now, what I'm suggesting is like falling asleep, but we remain awake while we're doing it. And we don't actually have to get rid of the thoughts, feelings, sensations, or perceptions. We just soften the focus of our attention from them and come back to ourself, so to speak. Not ourself, the body and the mind. The body and the mind are objects of experience that we are aware of. So when I say come back to ourself, I mean come back to our essential being, the simple fact of being aware, just the awareness of being.
So
and you
becoming
let experience flow by.
One of the
Go on.
No, okay. I'm going to nick just to nick. Sorry, bit of a delay, right? Let me just take this one. Just to nick. So just to take one of the titles of one of your books, becoming aware of being aware. I'm sure that's not exactly, but being aware of being aware.
Being aware of being aware, exactly. Instead of being exclusively aware of the content of experience, in other words, instead of being exclusively aware of what we are aware of, We become aware of the fact of being aware. Instead of being lost in the content of experience, we disentangle ourselves from the content of experience and recognize ourselves as the fact of being aware, which is, as you hinted earlier, intimately one with all experience, and at the same time free or independent of it. It does not need to be made free or independent through practice or discipline or effort. Its nature is as such. Just as the screen is utterly intimately one with the movie, but is at the same time free of it. It is not conditioned or qualified by the movie. Well, awareness is like that, intimately one with all experience, but at the same time inherently free of it. And that recognition is the recognition of the nature of our self-awareness. It's the greatest recognition that is possible.